Hare Krishna. We are in the shlok number 2 of the 4th chapter of Bhagwat Gita as it is. And the name of the chapter is Transcendental Knowledge, which means the knowledge of our relationship with the Supreme God Krishna. In the previous shlok, we saw that Krishna said that he gave the transcendental knowledge to the sun god Vivasvan. And Vivasvan gave the same knowledge to his son Manu. And then Manu gave the knowledge to his son and disciple Ikshvaku. And Ikshvaku is the greatest king in the Raghukul dynasty. And Lord Rama appeared in the dynasty of Ikshvaku. The thing that we need to know in this is this, that this transcendental knowledge was passed on from one generation to other in the Guru Shishya Parampara, or we can say in the disciplic order. And one more very important thing is said, that this knowledge was given to the Kshatriyas as they are meant to rule the kingdom. And Srila Prabhupada says that all the Kshatriyas must have the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, and then only the king can guide his people to develop Krishna consciousness, which can be done only in the human form of life. Further, Srila Prabhupada says that it is the duty of the king to give employment to every person in the kingdom according to the Varnashram Dharma, which is specified in Bhagavad Gita. And when each and every person is employed in the kingdom, then there is no chaos and there is peace everywhere. And people develop Krishna consciousness while performing their own responsibilities. The work of the king is to see that the Brahmanas are engaged in the activities of learning and imparting the knowledge of the Supreme Brahman. And the work of the Kshatriyas is to give protection to all the people. And the work of the Vaishyas is to give protection to cows and to carry out the work of agriculture. This is the way of life which is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. And this is why the study of Bhagavad Gita is so important. And the study of Bhagavad Gita means to have the transcendental knowledge which was passed on in the disciplic order from Krishna, the Supreme God, to the sun god Vivasvan, and from Vivasvan to Manu, and in turn Manu gave it to Ikshvaku. They are all Kshatriyas who are expected to rule with having the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So this is the history and importance of Bhagavad Gita in our life. Now we are going to study the shlok number 2. So first let us recite the shlok. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduh sakal neha mahata yogo nashtah parantapa. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduh sakal neha mahata yogo nashtah parantapah. Evam, thus. Parampara, disciplic succession. Praptam, received. Imam, this science. Rajarshayo, the saintly kings. Viduh, understood. Sah, that knowledge. Kalen, in the course of time. Iha, in this world. Mahata, by great. Yoga, the science of one's relationship with the Supreme. Nashtah, scattered. Parantapa, O Arjun, subduer of the enemies. Shri Krishna is saying that the supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. Now let us read Srila Prabhupada's purport to understand the shloka in a better manner. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anant Koti Vaishnavo ki jai. Srila Prabhupada says that the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is specifically meant for the saintly kings because they were to execute its purpose in ruling over the citizens. And this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita or the supreme science was received through the chain of disciplic succession or Guru Shishya Parampara. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu. Further, Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna tells to Arjun that this parampara was somewhere lost with time, and as a result, the supreme science or the transcendental knowledge appears to be lost. Sakale neha mahatan yogo nashtah parantapa. Now, Srila Prabhupada explains to us that how this transcendental knowledge appears to be lost. Prabhupada says that time is a very strong factor, and everything with time loses its freshness or newness. For example, when we buy any fruits or vegetables or clothes or anything, with the time it loses its freshness. And one more very important reason Srila Prabhupada gives us, that when the knowledge is passed on from a guru to his disciple, and then from the disciple to his disciple, in this process, if the knowledge is distorted by any one of them, then the real knowledge is lost. This is why it is so important to pass on the knowledge as it is without any distortion. Distortion means personal interpretation. Srila Prabhupada says that the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita or the supreme science was meant for the saintly kings and not for the demonic persons who would dissipate its value, which will be not beneficial for the common people. Now let's understand whom Prabhupada is addressing as demonic people. Srila Prabhupada says that there are many mundane scholars who interpret Bhagavad Gita according to their own whims, and they do not accept Sri Krishna as God, neither do they have any love for Krishna. Such mundane scholars give their interpretations on Bhagavad Gita as Bhagavad Gita is a very famous book, and anyone who writes or speaks on Bhagavad Gita automatically becomes famous. So these people use Bhagavad Gita for their own selfish desires without having any love for Krishna, and they don't accept Krishna, who is the speaker of Bhagavad Gita, as God. Srila Prabhupada says that such kind of people are demons or asurs who use the property of Krishna to become famous but do not have any belief on Krishna. And when innocent people read Bhagavad Gita interpretations by such demonic people, they never achieve the aim of reading Bhagavad Gita. The aim of Bhagavad Gita is to revive the lost relationship with the Supreme Krishna. This is why this knowledge is called transcendental knowledge or the science of Supreme. Srila Prabhupada says that 5,000 years ago Krishna himself detected that the disciplic succession of the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita was lost, and it happened by the selfish motives of the unscrupulous commentators. This is why the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita was re-spoken by Krishna himself to Arjun in the battlefield of Mahabharata in Kurukshetra 5000 years ago. So it is very crystal clear to all of us that formally this great knowledge of Bhagavad Gita was given to the saintly kings like the sun god Vivasvan. Vivasvan gave it to Manu and then to Ikshvaku in the disciplic order. And the purpose was to educate and train the kings how to rule and guide the kingdom to make a spiritual advancement. The duty of the king is not limited only to provide food, clothes, and shelter to his people, rather, to rule in such a manner that all the four orders of the society, like the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and the Shudras, should be engaged in the service of Krishna and make a gradual progress in the spiritual life, as human birth is only meant for spiritual upliftment, which is only possible in human life and not in any other species. Srila Prabhupada categorically says that we should vote only for those leaders who have the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, because without the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, the leader or the administrator or the bureaucrat will not be able to guide the people under them, and the entire society will be in a chaos. This is exactly what is happening today in the present time. No leader or administrator has the complete knowledge of Bhagavad Gita as it was spoken by Sri Krishna himself. Once in America, an American lady wanted to read Bhagavad Gita. She approached Srila Prabhupada and wanted Srila Prabhupada to recommend her to which Bhagavad Gita she should read. Srila Prabhupada openly said that he cannot recommend any Bhagavad Gita which were available. Though there were many Bhagavad Gita, but all of them were by the mundane scholars who did not accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, but they made good business of the words of Sri Krishna. Srila Prabhupada says that this attitude is demonic because demons do not believe in God but simply enjoy the property of the Supreme. Like Ravana kidnapped Mother Sita and wanted to enjoy her, but he did not accept Lord Rama as the supreme God. Rather, Ravana was envious of Lord Rama and wanted to kill him. Since there was a great need of an edition of the Gita in English, which was as it is received by the parampara of Guru Shishya, so our dearest Guru, Srila Prabhupada, gave us Bhagavad Gita as it is in English language, which is a great boon to the entire humanity. The main aim of reading Bhagavad Gita is to re-establish the lost relationship with Krishna, and this is only possible when one reads Bhagavad Gita as it is under the guidance of a bona fide Guru. And on the contrary, if Bhagavad Gita is read with the attitude of mental speculations given by the so-called mundane scholars, then the whole purpose of reading Bhagavad Gita is defeated and it is a sheer waste of time. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Yadi papi chhadi dharma dur deshe jai, more senapati bhakt jaibe tahai. If some sinful people escape and giving up religious principles go to far off countries, then my senapati bhakt, commander, will come at that time and give them Krishna consciousness. This was said by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and our loving Srila Prabhupada is that Bhakt Senapati of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who went to the Western countries at the age of 70 only to carry out the orders of his spiritual master Srila Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Thakur. Srila Prabhupada translated Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita in English and in Hindi so that we may read it as it was spoken by Sri Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because when we read it exactly the way it was spoken by Krishna, then we make spiritual progress in our life. Otherwise, it is a sheer wastage of time. I am sure we all have understood very nicely the importance of Bhagavad Gita as it is in our life and will surely read it, understand it, and apply in our lives and share it with others also. I thank all my listeners for listening Bhagavad Gita shlokas very attentively. And I thank Srila Prabhupada for making us understand the most secretive knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. And I thank my Shiksha Guru, His Grace Hari Mohan Das Prabhuji, for always giving me the correct guidance. Hare Krishna, keep chanting Hare Krishna and be happy. Now we shall meet in the next week with a new shloka and will come to know that why Krishna gave the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to Arjun, why the Bhagavad Gita was re-spoken to Arjun when all the other Pandavas were also equally good. Why Krishna chose only Arjun? So to know the answer, please be connected, and till then, keep chanting Hare Krishna and always be happy. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,